All right, guys, good morning. Wanted to do a little bit of a drive chat here on my way into work and discuss some of the things that have transpired in the hobby, mainly PSA, who is taking the heat off of everybody and their mother. And then they also messed up with regrading the Luca rookie ticket auto, as Neo had shot out there as well. And the grading thing. First thing they they changed how the rules apply to what they did. And they affected every other card prior to this change that's a 7 and up. Because they changed the grading scale on multiple different variations of the card. And that affects vintage massively, and it affects modern massively. You now have to question a PSA 10 more than ever. And, buy the card, not the grade. Half of the people in this hobby right now that are flipping buy the grade, not the card. The card's important in there, but the grade is indicative of value. So we've seen it. PSA 9s don't even sell for as much as a raw. And sometimes that card costs more to grade than it's even worth after you grade it, because it doesn't 10. And now you have to question that even more. Does this make new 10s more valuable? On very specific cards, I think it does more than ever before. I think if it's a card that's already got, let's say, Luca's Prism base card that's got a bazillion of them graded, I don't think it affects that card too much. My issue is with PSA, and I don't grade very much at all. I grade for value, for resale, or encapsulation for value to resale. More than anything. Very rarely have I ever graded a card because it's one that's sleeved up in a case. I do like that, but I don't feel the need to always pay for it to get a grade on it that then basically tell somebody what they feel that they should value it at. Again, third-party grading, do we need it? We need it now. We don't really need it. Nobody needs grading. If you're collecting, you want grading for somebody's opinion to create a value line for that item. PSA 6, 7, 8, SGC 8, 9, 10, whatever it may be. Listen, everybody, we all talk crap about Beckett, but those subgrades tell us a lot, and it's a lot more than what we get when we're grading with other companies, with the exception of a couple others that you can get the subgrades on there. Again, we need transparency, and they don't put the grader's notes to where everybody can see what went on with a card. I still think that's stupid. If you grade a card and it gets into the database and I want to buy a card, I need to look up how that graded. And I don't know if it's just more of worrying about people being malicious or doing things that they don't like. It's just funny how everybody assumes things in this hobby. And then take stuff and twist it, and I get it. It's fun too, so I'm not going to really over-argue it. I do like the controversy, but I just wish PSA would have just finally came out with a higher grade of a 10, an elite 10. And if you have a 10 and you want to play the crack and regrade game to try and get that elite card, I would have done that. But they basically just changed so much of what they do in value that they create, and this is a black eye for PSA, and I don't want it to go away, and people shouldn't let it go away. It's a big deal. People have, how does this affect the set registry realistically? You got cards, if you're a big collector, that they're not 45, 55 centering, and centering is the number one aspect of a card. After that would be corners. And then after that, you can fight with the edges of surface, or if it's an older card, how unblurry it is, or sharp, or how hard the colors pop, fade, things like that. Vintage has way more things, I think, that apply to a card than modern does, because it's just modern. Look at the way Pokemon and TCG is, how good their quality control is. The quality control today is horrible. So PSA 10s have actually become harder to get with modern cards because of how crappy and fast they print the product, how crappy autos on cards are. I always don't understand why we're getting a card that has already a streaked looking faded auto. When somebody's signing cards, they should have about 10 of these pins and kind of that note should state, as if you see it fading or it's streaking, just throw that pin away, start a new one. I don't know what that process is. All these companies are so quiet or secretive, like the competition doesn't know, because these people change jobs within these companies, guys. And I laugh at, they can't let us know because of their secret and they don't want their competition to know. We don't grade because your competition would know. We grade for value. We just want to know how the processes work. And there's these people that work for them that can't talk about it. It's like the government, and it's psyops, and it's, we need transparency in the hobby just like we need transparency in our government, as well as other things. But they just drive me nuts with this fake secrecy that they think is going to change something. What PSA just did is worse than them telling us, hey, yeah, we don't really use computers to check things, and we just got guys that are just shuffling through cards as fast as possible, and only key cards and certain value cards do they really get a second or third look at. And they're going to take somebody in and videotape it, and they're going to make it look like they do all this crap. Kind of like if you're at work and your boss comes in and the place looks super clean and nothing's out of place and the trash is perfect, and empty and everything. No. That's not how it really works, guys. We all know this, but for some reason there's just this blinder they want to put on us that they think that we're going to care. Companies that do, like, I'm going to say tag. I know people don't like the word tag, but I mean, it's just a stigmatism for other people. Again, I still like the case, so I don't really care what anybody says, but at least I know what and why they graded the card the way they did. Okay? That's why I still like Beckett. I get at least 4 main points of interest of how good this card is in those 4 main points. I also think that when they grade cards, they go above the normal magnification sometimes, because there's certain things that you can't see with the naked eye. Personally, I think if you're grading a card, it should be no more than maybe 5 times. If it takes a superhuman to see something without a loop, it's not that bad. And if you do want it to be that way, then make it better than a 10. Or don't call your 10, they say gem mint anyway. They're not saying pristine. PSA needs a pristine. I'm sorry, they do. They need an above average. And other than playing that homeboy to put a little diamond sticker on it for his opinion, and then ranking it based on the other ones, that guy just created a whole nother tier for him to make money. He literally created himself a job, a monopoly, and people adhere to it because they trust. Was it Mike Baker? No offense, Mike Baker, if you ever come across this. Great job. You did a great thing, and you're doing well. I appreciate that. But the companies that do the grading should have these things, not some other dude that used to work for the company. And there's partnerships and stuff on the backside, and PSA did this, and at first I was like, oh, they just need to slow the grading down because they can't handle what GameStop's delivering to them now that it's so easy for anybody to go anywhere and send some cards in for grading. And I'm still waiting for some more mishaps on that, because I'm sure stuff's going to disappear somewhere, or some stuff's going to get swapped out, and that's if it hadn't happened already. Those are my thoughts on that. Real quick, cover the Luca stuff, and there's going to be more on the PSA stuff that probably transpires over time as well. But Luka stuff, for instance, guy's gelling pretty darn well right now over there in LA. The team looks great, and obviously it's a new relationship, and you know how those are, super rosy. And but man, looks fun. It looks good. Everybody looks pretty happy right now over there. Obviously, on the other side, AD is hurt, so that's that. But that's his MO. And then February 25th. Coming up, Mavs at Lakers. Ooh! Hopefully AD is playing by that time and Luka doesn't get hurt, because I'm for some reason thinking that's going to be one of those games that it'll probably be the most watched basketball game for the NBA this year, and it's going to also have the potential. I don't think anybody hates anybody, but there might be some words, and you know how that is. Sometimes there's some words and a little. Fisticuffs might break out. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it would make for a massive amount of entertainment. And we know how these leagues are all scripted, and they like entertainment. So just putting that out there just in case but yeah, right now Luka looks great. His cards are going to continue to climb as long as he's playing well. I don't see it going down at all. I mean, if he gets hurt, everybody's just going to pull him off to the side. I go to the shows, I don't see a lot of Lukas. So that's telling me people are holding stuff. There's certain guys I just don't see a lot of. And they all have big cards, and all these guys are used to moving big cards. And if they're willing to move and put out these certain players, just remember there's guys that they're not willing to put out and move, and or they always keep in their case for, okay, this deal came up and I got to have that card. I got to pull out a big gun. That's what they do. I see it all the time. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Thoughts about the PSA thing, any other grading company for that matter. I do have to submit 5 cards to tag, and it's because I bought a pack when it was on sale a while back. I want to send some cards in. And again, when I'm sending stuff in, I just want to send good quality cards, because at the end of the day, I want to, and no matter who I grade with, I want to try and get a 10, 100, whatever the number may be. I want to send a good card in because I want it to try to be elite. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and choose 5 of the best cards I have. Doesn't mean they're the nicest cards I have, just the best in value, or best in quality. And I want to try and get as close to a perfect card as I can get, which will probably need to be a modern, super modern card. Even though I'd like to see as old as I can get of a card in a tag slab, just because it's kind of like putting old school rims on a brand new car and just pimping it out. All right, guys, getting ready to head to work. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll catch y'all later.